So can you please introduce yourself with your name, job, and any family or personal information you'd like to share?
Sure. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm the Director of Business Development at Smoak Davis Nixon, and I am married with 3 stepdaughters, about to have a 3rd grandchild, and 5 dogs.
Excellent. So can you tell us, what did you do after high school? Did you go straight to college? And if so, did you major in the field you are currently in?
Yes, I did. After high school, I went right to Springfield College up in Massachusetts, and I studied sports and business management. And I am using the business management part of it. When I first graduated, I used a lot of the sports management part, but now I am using the business management part in my job as a director of business development at a financial firm.
So what did your typical day look like before social distancing? Do you work Monday through Friday? And are there weekends involved and any travel?
Sure. It is mostly Monday through Friday, but there are a couple of weekend events or big events like the PGA, TPC at PGA or something like that, that you do meet with clients that might be on a Saturday or Sunday, or there might be some charity events that might be on a Friday night or a Saturday that we do help with. And so my regular day is usually going into the office first and planning ahead and also reviewing what I've done before. I do a lot of communicating. That's a very big thing in my job. So if it's first, probably when I first come in, is looking at emails and also sending emails. So if I met with a client the day before, I like to get back to a client that I've met with or a prospect within 24 to 48 hours. I just think that's a really good way to keep in contact with them, not let them forget about you. Also, I do phone. A lot of times I'll try to, if I can't get through with email, I'll give a call. And if not, text also sometimes, and leave a message. Just, it's a great way always to stay in communication. Also, planning ahead. I like to do a lot of planning ahead, that if it's, let's say it's the beginning of the week on Monday, I'm not just thinking about Monday. I'm also thinking about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that I'm trying to see, a lot of times when I have meetings, I will actually send an email or send a phone call or do a text and say, I just want to confirm. I find that's a really important thing. Sometimes a lot of people are busy that they might forget about the meeting, or they might have had schedule changes. So there might be something that happened in the family and they have to change it and they forgot to get back to me. So by doing that, I know, and also I'm giving them the courtesy to plan ahead. And they might say, you know what, this Thursday really is not good. Can we do it the next week? Sure, let me look at my calendar. So trying to do that is all part of the communication part, but I think it's really important to always plan ahead. And whenever I have meetings or lunches, I usually try at least 48 hours ahead of time to send an email saying, are we still doing this? And most of the time it does happen, but just to have that courtesy, and also to plan for my schedule, that things come up that I might have to tell somebody else, that say, listen, you know, somebody's sick in the family. Can I reschedule this for another time?
Now that we are social distancing, what does a typical day look like now? What has
Sure.
stayed the same, or does it feel a lot different?
It's definitely a little different. In my field, it's a lot of times doing in-person meetings or chamber meetings that are with a lot of people at a restaurant or at a business. So that has changed, but the communication part, I try to keep going just like I've done before. I still will do emails, and now Zoom is the big thing, like we're doing now. And so there are a lot of webinars. Every day it seems, instead of literally going to a restaurant or a business and meeting with them in person, is doing it via Zoom. So I guess I'm not driving as much, which is good on that part, but the meeting is more in person via Zoom or a different kind of video conferencing.
So a little bit more about how you're feeling and what you're noticing about this time. So what do you hope people learn from this temporary change in our world and our new normal? What are some of the positive things that you've observed come out of these challenging times? And how did you prepare financially, if at all, for a situation such as this?
Sure. I guess more family time, more time with the pets. I think the happiest people in my house have been my dogs that were home all the time. So definitely that, I think it will be a big change when going back to work and the dogs are like, wait, you're not here anymore? Wait a minute, what's happening? But the family time, I think, has been really important, that being able to do the balance. That a lot of times if you are traveling, and sometimes I do travel to other cities for big meetings and things like that, and a lot of other people do that. That right now, you have to stay inside, and you get to have that quality family time. Simple as eating dinner at the dinner table almost every night now. That doesn't always happen because of scheduling. So that is something we do almost every night now. So that's something that didn't always happen. Being set up financially, it's part of my thing with communication and then planning ahead. And I'm lucky enough that at my firm, I can invest in a 401k plan. And I always recommend that people, even starting very young, put away money. And if it's a 401k or any kind of savings plan that your company might have, it's really important to start early, because some important words that people should remember is called compound interest. And that when you're putting something away, that it's going to gain money. Now, right now with the stock market going up and down and things like that, it might be a little scary, but you got to think long term. And you always want to have that backup plan, and knowing that this money is for you for when you retire or emergencies, having that money there. Also trying to have an emergency fund. Listen, not everybody's the best at it. I can't even say I'm always the best at it, but trying to find that time to put away money. Also being able to know what your credit cards and your bills are. That, it's not always, you don't think about it all the time, but now with what's happening is you do think about it, and you actually should review it while you're home. If it's with, your family or things like that, definitely review it, because right now with the hard times that everybody's having, that if you do have some credit to be able to now purchase, some people it's very hard to purchase, food and other supplies, to make sure you have that buffer, that you do talk to your credit card companies or, whoever, any other kind of companies, and say, listen, this is what happened, this is what's happening. And a lot of times what can happen is they might lower the interest rate so you don't have to pay as much right now, or they might even let it go for a couple of months. I know a lot of companies and banks are doing it, that the car payments might not need to be done for 2 to 3 months. So using that money to be able to spend on food and other kind of medical, that is very important. So always trying to look out that way, that if people don't have that 401k, is review what you have. And if you can do that, you never know what you can find. And it's just calling or on chat, on email or video, is finding out from them what they can do for you, because they understand right now that there are hard times. So it might be refinancing. Some people are refinancing. If they have a house, they can refinance their house. That gets them lower payments. So just little things like that. And if you can set up an emergency fund, I know that the typical they ask is to have at least 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund, but I know that's very hard sometimes for people. But at least trying to do, if you can even have a month or 2 of an emergency fund, that's so important. I think what this will also bring, what's happening now, is people looking at that this is emergency like nobody's ever seen. Okay, so nobody's ever seen this. So now if this ever happens again, you can be prepared for it. Hopefully this never happens again, but there's always going to be emergencies in people's families or their people's lives. So this might not be a pandemic for everybody, but for your particular family, it might be a similar situation, that there's going to be a really big emergency. So having that emergency fund And again, it's not taking away your whole paycheck. It might be just $20 a week or $10 a week, whatever you can afford, just to put something like that away, just in case.
That was perfect advice. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it, and wishing you the best of luck through this time of social distancing.
Thank you very much. And I think it's really important for an organization like Junior Achievement for people to be involved. So I really appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you so much.